The Marvel Tōkon beta finally concluded, and I miss it already, bro. I had so much fun playing this game over the course of the weekend, going against a lot of randoms online, streaming it, playing with homies, labbing combos the little bit that we could, mostly playing Captain America, just having a blast over the course of the weekend. And it was so much fun, bro. It reminded me so much of like my experience of getting into Dragon Ball FighterZ again for the first time. And so I'm gonna give you guys my first impressions on everything I feel about Marvel Tōkon and everything that we've learned about the game so far over the weekend. I'm going to be talking about the things that I do love and like about Marvel Tōkon. We're also talking about the things that I kind of dislike and even somewhat hate about the game. There isn't too much negativity towards the game. I actually mostly love it, but there are some aspects about it that does rear its little head and make it kind of an annoying experience at times. But that's with most fighting games. Everything has their good ups and downs. Even Dragon Ball FighterZ is a game I love, and so I want to get talk about that. And the first thing I want to do is go into the pros, the things that I think are really good about the game and I enjoy so much about. And I think one of the easiest segments we can get here and lead into is the overall movement of the game. Marvel's Tōkon movement feels freaking amazing. This is something that I think a lot of people were worried about because the general movement for like some of their recent games have been a little bit on the slower side, especially in terms of anime titles from Arc System in general. They've been recently known for Guilty Gear Strive, who has like a slower air dash and slower general movement ground speed as a whole. And then you have games like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, who's more of a grounded fighter anyway, so it's much slower movement. But with Marvel Tōkon, it's nothing like that. It's much closer to the experience with Dragon Ball FighterZ, but without a super dash, which is something that we honestly wish Dragon Ball never had. Its movement is really good, really crisp. The air dash feels really nice. Again, I mostly play Captain America, so I think he had probably one of the better air dashes in the game, but also some characters have really unique movement like flight mechanics, and Captain Marvel with her unique arm traversal. It was a lot of cool things that you could do with movement in this game, and it just felt so freeform and really good to play as. And so this is one of the aspects that I think was super important to capture when it comes to a fighting game, especially as a tag game, because people want to move. They want to be able to get across the screen and be able to have like a lot of free control on how they can address and attack characters and stuff in neutral, and movement is a big key with that. It's kind of similar to Guilty Gear Xrd and Blaze Blue, I think, and Dragon Ball FighterZ. Just a lot of mixed there. Where it just naturally feels so good. But I think for most people, if you're newer to Arc Sys within like the recent years, Dragon Ball FighterZ is probably the closest thing to how the game feels, just again without a super dash, and overall that just feels super nice. I think the next thing I want to talk about is the combo system. The combo system for the game actually felt pretty good. This is something that a lot of people were kind of skeptical on, and was worrying that the game was going to be very limiting and that you weren't going to be able to do a lot of saucy things within the game. And while combos are shorter in this game in comparison to like the likes of Dragon Ball FighterZ, there is a lot of combo expression available here, and you're able to do a lot with this system already from what we've been able to discover. Now for me, when it comes to first getting into the game, especially only playing within like a day's worth of time, I only learned about one or two consistent combos within the beta, so I didn't really like heavily explore what you can do. But there's tons of clips and stuff of players discovering new things with all the different characters, and people were able to kind of dig in the first layer of how the combo system is currently offering. And so far there is some creativity there, there's a bit of expression, and I think this is something that we really don't have to worry about too much. Some of the stylish stuff I was seeing was like re-jumps are back. People were able to find ways to break the assist system within the game, so you don't always just get layers within combo strings. And then people were able to, find better ways to optimize their resource usage in order to essentially extend combos further and further than what we were so far able to see. And again, there's a lot of room there for development, and I think this is something that people will easily be able to grasp onto and get a hang of, because the combo structure feels similar-ish to FighterZ, but there is some variance to it. But again, overall, how combos are, they're much shorter than what FighterZ ends up offering, which I think is a good and bad thing. I think the combo length that FighterZ had did get to a point where it got super long, making the agency on the player that was getting hit feel very low at some points, and you're probably going to be holding like a 30-second combo for a good minute, especially if you're getting hit by Super Broly. But it seemed like the idea and the goal for this game is that they want a lot of engagement, they want a lot of alertness and ways and opportunities for people to always have interactions with each other. So they did this by limiting how long combos can be, but again still keeping the system open. I guess this closest game I can kind of it kind of reminds me of what the combo system is like Skullgirls. Skullgirls length the combos aren't like super long. That's why that game is like pretty heavily focused on like resetting people, and that's kind of where Tōkon is going. That people were starting to see where that getting a lot of resets on hits and setups or knockdown for you to have people hold Oki and put them in situations again. It's kind of a similar thing that what Skullgirls has going on from the little bit that I do know about the game. And so I actually have no issues with that. I think that's a different approach to the game that makes it a little bit different than what Fighters was offering, but I think it still offers a lot of alertness and creativity and freedom within the system that leaves a lot of room for it to be explored within the future. But outside of combos with the creativity and stuff there, I think the strongest aspect about Tōkon is how unique every character feels and all the depth that these characters are able to offer. A lot of early impressions for Tōkon was talked about how unique these characters was within the Evo build. Well, even after playing this game myself, I'm still able to say that this remains true even when it's open beta build, that every character felt different. No one felt the same. It was a completely different experience, and I actually love that a lot. For Captain America, since he was the main character I played, he's mostly your great all-around character that's used to essentially help you learn the basic core systems of Marvel Tōkon. He's one of the characters I would easily suggest anybody that wants to get into the game the first time to give it a try. This is because he reminds me a lot of Bardock, and if you know the story of Dragon Ball FighterZ, Bardock is like the blueprint of a lot of characters within that game, especially post season 1, and that's what Captain America seems to me. He seems like they took that Bardock structure from Dragon Ball FighterZ, gave it to Captain America in a similar-ish kit, but also expanded upon a bit more by giving him some more unique gimmicks, like providing that whole shield gimmick that he has, where he's able to toss the shield, ricochet it off people. He's able to set it up to do like Oki setups, and he's able to get like really nasty combos and mix off of it. It's something that's really cool and something very unique to the character, and it added an extra layer that characters like Bardock was missing. Next, Miss Marvel, she was the scrub killer of the beta. She has great range, amazing damage, and offers some of the most oppressive offense and pressure within the entire game right now, due to her being able to stay on top of her opponents because of her unique skill being plus on block. This is a very scary situation to be put in against this character, because she's able to set you up with like 50-50 situations of like you having to guess overhead, low, or command grab. And let me tell you, those options come at you fast. She won the first tournament for Tōkon with Diaphone this previous weekend. So if that doesn't tell you that the character is currently strong at the moment and kind of hard to deal with, I don't know what else will. Do we have Storm? The character I believe is the master of space control, due to her being able to create projectiles and manipulate them across the screen with her unique wind gimmick. This is the aspect of the character that's going to take a really long time to master, because you truly have to understand your opponent and your own movement, where you want to place projectiles and obstacles against them across the screen and on the stage, so it makes them harder for them to approach you, while also being able to get like random conversions off of crazy setups of when using her wind gimmick. I'm not gonna lie, it's very unique, it's very different. It's probably the best version of Storm I've ever seen in any Marvel fighting game. They actually cooked really well with this character, and she offers such a very fun and energetic and explosive form of gameplay that it's honestly gonna be hard, in my opinion, to see how they top a character like this. Like, that's how good of a design she is, and if they do something better than this for anybody else in the game, Arxis is really in their bag. I love what they've done with her so far, but she's definitely one of the hardest characters to play, and I think this is because that she has a kit that offers so much that you can do with it and be extremely creative and experimental with a lot of things, that I wouldn't be surprised if she's like one of the main lab characters that everybody's just going to be setting up crazy setups and stuff that you can do, just because of how freeform her wind gimmick is and how it interacts with so many different aspects of her kit, and even things that she can set up with her own team. Star-Lord, this was the main character, the pro tag of the beta. This is the character that everybody played. All the high-level players were getting into him and loving everything about him, because he is the mobility / mix-up character. This, anytime you want to set up a mix-up situation, this was the monster to do it, because he had a gimmick where he's able to freeze his opponents with ice, and he's able to put you in like a 4-way mix-up where you have to guess high, low, overhead, cross-up, and so on and so forth. this character was scary, and he did a decent amount of damage as well, making him definitely one of the stronger characters in the beta. But I think he's pretty cool. He's pretty similar to Captain America, where he's actually not that hard to understand to play. He was pretty easy to pick up, but he offered a layer of depth that I think went deeper than what Captain America was offering, and I think he's going to be one of the fan favorites even when the game releases. There's going to be so many ways that you can play Star-Lord that I think you're going to have like Star-Lord dedicated mains are going to play completely different from one another. He's a very versatile character, and I think he's going to get a lot of playtime and be able to show off a lot of expression that a lot of other characters just aren't able to do. And of course, we got Iron Man, Mr. Tony Stark himself. This was funny enough, one of the premier zoners of the game, one of those style of zoners where you can kind of play him a little rush down a bit while mixing up his zoning. But he definitely was somebody that whenever I played against was mostly against my homie Huey, Travel Lord Huey. You guys can check out his channel in the description below. I was getting zoned out with how much arsenal he was able to put on the screen, which is the best way to describe this character. He was a fortress. He puts up so much, he sets up so many things on the screen, not only with his own kit, with assist. He makes it hard for you to traverse. He puts out the beams. He freaking flight cancels and runs away, or he can use it to set up pressure when he calls assist in. It's so much that this character is able to do with his own flight gimmick and this fortress of projectiles and stuff that he's able to put out on screen, that it makes this character extremely hard to deal with. And then finally we had Doom. He's pretty similar to Iron Man as well, as he has a very hardcore zoning game plan, but much more so in Doom's case, as his whole gimmick is more so centered around his unique skill with his age reflector, the big green shield that he puts up, and allows him to play more of like a trap style zoning in a way where he kind of sandwiches you between him and the shield from different spaces and angles across the stage, and the shield actually kind of moves as well. And whenever he's able to get like hits and pickups either from himself or from the shield, is able to lead into combos honestly almost anywhere on screen because of how he's able to dash with his Slayer dash, where you just see him teleport across the screen. It makes that character a menace because not only is he able to quickly get across the screen, but his dash also allow him to phase through people, which means that like when going for like setups or knockdown with his shield and his assist, he's able to do like nasty cross ups and make you guess in a lot of situations where you just aren't expecting it, especially early on within the game's life. This character is going to be sick. I do think though that he is a very unique character in comparison to most, and I just think that nobody in the beta played anything like him. It's going to take some time for people to truly develop this character. He kind of reminds me of Super Baby 2 in a way, where it's not as impressive zoning as Super Baby 2, but he's as unique of a character as he was within Dragon Ball FighterZ that I don't think like a lot of people are going to get into him. But the ones that do, they're going to show you that there's so much for him to offer with the kit that he has. And I picked this up because of my homie Saturn. He's one of the main guys that came up with a lot of the tech for Super Baby 2 and Dragon Ball FighterZ. And he instantly was drawn to Doom, and seeing some of the stuff that he was able to come with, as well as Sonic Fox and a lot of other pro players. Doom is a character that you do not want to sleep on. He's going to be a threat, and man, I can't wait to see more, not only about him, but all the other characters that we just went over. Everything about these characters are really well designed, and they're really exciting to play, and they just make me super excited for the future reveals of other characters coming to the game. Because if everybody's gonna have a deep kit like this is probably going to be the most unique tag game that Arxis has ever made so far, while still having somewhat of a homogenized system that makes it easy for people to get into, which again is really surprising that they was able to figure this out. And I'm just pleased that they were actually able to do so, because they have a really fun game here, and I just can't wait to play it more. And finally, for my last pro I want to talk about is that this game is truly a tag fighter. If you guys don't know, we did a video not too long ago talking about people saying that the game felt like more of a 1v1 game than a tag game. And if I'm going to be honest, this sentiment actually makes a lot of sense. I think I even said it in that previous video, where that the game doesn't truly incentivize you to use tagging much at all. I, for one, hardly tagged throughout the entirety of the beta just because I wasn't comfortable yet. I'm someone that's just going to take like a few days to get comfortable with a character before I branch out into learning other characters as part of my team. That's just something that I just did in general with tag games anyway. But because it allows this 1v1 fighter dynamic, I think that this is something that they don't want to change at all. I think they want the games to feel like this because I think they want tagging to be a form of option for newer players. It's something they aren't forced to learn. And I think that's a plus for newer players because that's one of the headaches about tag games that newer players don't like. But that doesn't mean that tagging doesn't have value, as over the course of this entire weekend, the things that players like Cloud, Sonic, Fox, so many different Marvel players, Dragon Ball players, freaking Slash, so many players were showing off insane tech that you can do with tags and different characters and setups that are just disgusting. And it shows that this game is truly made to be a tag game at the deeper levels of it. It gives a glimpse into what Tōkon truly is at that highest degree. And honestly, I can't wait to see what more and more people discover, so I can just steal all the tech, because that's all I do with tag games. I'm a slow learner. It takes me some time to pick up some things, but we will get to that point at some point, and I can't wait until we do. But that's all that I have for the pros of Tōkon. Everything about the game at its general core is really good, and I love it so much. But there are some gripes that I have with the game that makes the game pretty frustrating to me in some instances. And I think one of the main things that are centered around that frustration is how assist can work at times. The assist system in Marvel Tōkon feels kind of restricting. And when I say this, it's because there's certain dynamics of it that makes me wish that it kind of doesn't operate the way as it does, because it's designed to be a new player's first tag game, similar to how Dragon Ball FighterZ was. But it feels like it takes that extra step and goes too far in babying some things and some aspects about the game. And I think where it just boils down to is how the assist system works and some of the restrictions that they have in place for it. And for one of them, it is the on-block pressure with assist. When trying to perform block string pressure on your opponent, you are only able to have access to one universal assist that every character does when you start performing a block string, and it's basically a lariat. This is something that is effective and it can work, and it makes understanding how to extend pressure very simple. But over the course of the time, you realize it gets very boring and repetitive, and there isn't much that comes from it outside of just extending block strings. You don't really get to open up people too much because there isn't like too much advantage on it. And so because of that, it feels very repetitive and easy to deal with and not scary at all. You just kind of have to be patient and block it out, and just watch out for like a high low if they try to go for it in like a throw. It's not scary at all, and I think it's something that is going to get old really quick to players, and that's because it's not really interesting to do or watch. I think characters should be able to have access to their regular assists within block string just like any other tag game. I think having this restriction of only having lariats within block strings feels really weird, and I think even though it makes learning how to use assist and pressure a lot easier, I think players that really want to get into Tōkon and really want to deep dive and understand more about the game in general wouldn't mind for assist to be able to do what they normally and naturally do, especially since they're going to have to learn how to utilize and deal with it within neutral anyway. It would just makes the most sense to just have it regularly. I don't know, it doesn't bother me that much if they keep it in, but I just hope that they allow us to, I don't know, be able to have an option to open up this access of being able to use our regular assist instead of being forced to only go for lariats. And this is something that not only happens on block but also happens on hit as well, to extend combos. But for extended combos, it doesn't bother me too much, just because there's been some tech that's been found, like when you're going for jump cancels, on how to call in your other assists on hit so that you can extend combos in different ways without having to use your lariat. But for block string pressure, it's going to be a little bit harder, because that means like a lot of block strings are just going to be really, really fake, and that people are just going to be able to constantly mash out on them because of this. But hopefully this is a dynamic that is at least opened up a bit more and providing more creative ways in order to create pressure within the game, because so far it's not that interesting in my opinion until you get like the hit or knockdown. But outside of that, I think this is something that needs to be adjusted. Also, air assist, I don't like this at all. I think air assist is
it's pretty similar to the Larry jumps, where it just makes trying to control neutral pretty boring when I'm jumping up in the air and all I get is a character shooting a beam or throwing out their projectile, and that's the only thing that I can get, when I would rather have them being able to, you know, like normally throw out the assist that I assigned them for. So for instance, if I have unique Iron Man and he has like his rockets that he shoots out from his chest, I would want to jump up, call Iron Man so he appears on the ground to shoot out his rockets while I'm trying to traverse neutral. I don't want Iron Man to be summoned in the sky with me and him to shoot off a repulsor blast out his chest. No, I would want him to use his actual assist I assigned him for. If I want to have Star-Lord to throw his nade as my assist, I would rather that instead of him come up in the air to shoot a gunshot every time. It's something that makes using assists pretty boring within neutral, and it kind of makes like approaching characters that have really strong like keep away and ability to traverse the sky is a lot more effective than other characters. It makes it harder to deal with them, because normally for like characters that have like bad matchups or like weaker matchups against them, you normally use your assist to cover your weak points and allow ways for you to get in and open up your opponent. But without truly having the dynamic of being able to jump and call like ground assist or like your normal assist that they are, and then always defaulting you to gearing air assist, it just doesn't feel as good in my opinion. I think this is something that should change, and it will make the game feel a lot better. Also within the beta, there was a lot of times where I felt like my inputs were getting eaten when calling an assist. But come to find out, I've learned that unlike other tag games, you cannot call assists when you're whiffing buttons. This is something that is a tactic that's easily been able to do within a lot of tag fighters over the course of the years. It's just something that is just you're able to do. But within Tōkon, this is a restriction. For the most part, I don't really like how it feels, but I understand why they did it. And I think it's because they don't want to recreate those messy and scramble situations that Dragon Ball FighterZ had, where you're able to whiff your auto combos and call in your assist to keep you safe. Those are situations that people did not like at all, and it made the game feel very random and again scrambly and not fun to deal with. But I think adding a restrictions on assists doesn't really fix that scrambly issue. They should have been tackling the idea of removing the idea of being able to auto combo on whiff. That thing is egregious, and it's still egregious in Tōkon. It was something that people didn't really like too much in fighters because it made the game very crazy and bombastic, and you just got hit by some random things at times because people wanted to mash. And it's kind of the same deal here, but because like stages are smaller and it's not as much space as you have to control and get around, a lot of times auto combos just heat seeking you down because they track almost just as good as they do in fighters. It's just something that is just very annoying, and it shouldn't be a thing. Of course, I understand why they do it, because it makes players feel like that they're actually doing something if they're new to fighting games, but it makes the experience overall very annoying, not only for experienced players but also for newer players when you're just getting hit by random things as well. This is probably not a chance that they're going to remove auto combo and whiff, but I definitely think this is something that they should look into. Because I don't think in the grand scheme of things it's fun to deal with at all. But it won't kill the game. None of the cons that I actually have will kill the game, because honestly, if they don't change any of this, I'm still going to play the game. The game was that fun that regardless of the cons and issues that I had with it, I'm still going to play it and I'm still going to enjoy it, because the game as a product so far is just so fun to get into that I just have hope that over the course of time I'll just enjoy it anyway, and they'll make some changes in the future that'll probably improve these aspects, because I'm pretty sure some people kind of agree with something that takes a half year. But other than that, Marvel Tōkon was a great experience. It was a game that played a lot more familiar than I was expecting it to. I'm ready to get back into it. I want to learn more about more characters and understand what their kits can offer, because man, we definitely did not have enough time to explore everything about them. And that's even like with me trying to figure out Captain America stuff. When seeing all the new cool mix-ups and stuff he could do on like the last few sessions, I tried to learn a little bit of it, but I just didn't have enough time to truly implement it within my game plan when playing it. So I just kind of acknowledged it and kind of looked at people attempt it online themselves, while I'd be like, I'm gonna lab that when the game comes out. But other than that, that's everything I have for my first impression from Marvel Tōkon. I know this is a long video, but hopefully we can cut this down a bit and kind of get my points across a little bit faster. So hopefully it's not like too much for you guys to have to digest and watch through, but hopefully it was a good watch. But yeah, if you guys have anything you want to say about Marvel Tōkon, if you guys did the beta, let me know in the comment section down below. Tell me who some of the characters you had fun with. Tell me some of the characters that you hope make it into the game, because you know, like me, your boy wants Gambit and Thor. Make it happen, Sony and Arxis. I know that you guys can put them in. And yeah, I appreciate you guys all your love and support. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you are new, and always remember to believe in you that believes in yourself. I'll see you guys in the next one.